I got to know Joseline Gomez of Elk Grove High School class of 2011 during her junior year in high school. She was in my AP US history class. She was very conscientious, very intelligent, very hardworking, always completed her work.
She really saw herself as a learner, and the way she was motivated to learn inspired others in the class. And she just would work with anybody, whether it was just whatever group of students where she would share her interest, and it really sparked interest in the other students, I feel like, and in me too.
As we got to know each other a little bit over the course of time, I found out some really fascinating stories about her life. Her parents were immigrants and they came to this country to give her and her family a better life. She grew up in relative poverty, and she would tell you the same thing, and she never let that stop her from accomplishing anything.
That was one of the really incredible experiences of my teaching career, seeing her motivation to just really drive her own learning.
She was a student that could always overcome obstacles. During her junior year, her father passed away, and that never set her into a life of complaining or saying poor me or I can't do this. She just kept right on working and wanted to create the best opportunities for both herself and her family.
I remember Mrs. Ishida reaching out to me and saying, I'm so sorry, like if you need anything, I'm here, and she just always made such an effort to make sure that I was doing well. And same goes for Mr. Bush. She ended up writing me a letter and just being super encouraging and supportive.
During her senior year, she had an opportunity to apply for the Questbridge Scholarship. And the Questbridge aligns high-achieving, low-income students with great universities. She applied. It was a very, very rigorous process. I was one of the many teachers who wrote her a letter of recommendation, and she got into the University of Chicago with a full ride.
I had stayed after school, and I remember that I knew that decisions were coming out that day, so I was kind of waiting for the email. I stayed after school. I was going to tutor. The person that I was tutoring bailed, so it was just me kind of messing around on a computer until I could get the bus home. And so I ended up getting an email from Questbridge, and I was like, oh my God, I need to read it. So I ended up opening the email, and the first line just says, we had a lot of really great applicants this year, and if you've ever applied anywhere, that's the line they give you if they reject you. And I was like, oh my God, that's it, I didn't get it, what am I gonna do now? And I ended up reading further, and they were saying, like, we'd like to congratulate you to the class of 2015 for University of Chicago. And I just stood there for about 5 minutes just rereading this email, thinking it was a joke. And then Mrs. Ishida, who wrote my letter of recommendation, ended up stopping by the room or something, and I said, can you do me a favor, can you read this email and tell me what it says, because I think I'm misreading something. So she ended up reading it, and she goes, you just got in.
And I couldn't have been more thrilled when she received the scholarship, and just knew that she would be a student that would move beyond Elk Grove and impact her college and the communities after she graduated. And she would take advantage of just all the learning opportunities that came her way. So I was really happy to just encourage her and write that letter of recommendation for her.
And at that point I was like, wow, this girl's gonna do something special. And right now she's taking all the things she's learned and she's working for an organization called the 30 Million Words Project, which helps low-income parents learn and explore speech with their children so they don't fall behind academically.
30 Million Words Project is based off this study that was conducted by Hart and Risley in the early 90s. And so they looked at kids from different economic backgrounds, and they found that children from lower income homes had heard approximately 30 million words less by their 4th birthday, which is a really big number. And this gap in words that they had heard kind of followed them throughout school. So they started school with smaller vocabularies, worse math skills, worse test scores, things like that. So what my lab aims to do is to reduce this gap by talking to parents and encouraging them to really talk and interact with their kids, hoping that this will improve the amount of words that they hear in their environments.
So I think it's important for females to see positive role models that are doing great things that came from Elk Grove High School. She's a great example for myself, she's a great example for everyone she comes in contact with, and especially the students here at Elk Grove High School. So wanted to bring her back and say what happened from the time you were at Elk Grove until the successes that you're having right now, and I think the girls are going to learn a ton from her.
My experiences at Elk Grove kind of made me, and I attribute everything that I did and getting into college and things like that at Elk Grove because they adequately prepared me to enter this field. And so, I mean, everything from taking AP classes to taking extracurricular activities to some of the people that I worked with here, some of my peers here, all of that kind of shaped me and got me ready to go to University of Chicago and then excel there and then excel afterwards. So I think a lot of it was Elk Grove.